Were you reading my mind? Again? Yes? I'm psychic. Hello, this is Natsuya Uesugi with Manga Writer, and we're going to be starting a new series of short videos that talk about the story behind the grydscaen novels and manga. Today we're going to talk about Psychokinesis and how it came about, why is it in the story, and how does it affect the world in the grydscaen series. So, as I started out, I guess when I was in college, I would read people's tarot cards. I usually did that for free. Sometimes people would give me food from the cafeteria as a gift for reading their tarot cards, and I kind of got a little bit of a reputation of doing that, and I had a couple of tarot decks. I believe I started with the Scopini Tarot was the first deck that I had, but one of the things that I could always do as in high school is I could see auras. That was one thing, and because I also have ADHD and on the autism spectrum, and sometimes that causes issues with communication and social skills, so I kind of, I guess learned how to understand people and observe. And so I think that is kind of where some of the psychic powers come from. So this is the second time I was doing this specific video. The first time I did it, the video was more about how the psychic powers worked. But this time I wanted to give the story behind how the psychics were created in the grydscaen series. So the first characters in grydscaen, the first character was Romp. His name means read-only memory. He's a hacker. He is also psychic. He has geothermal side. So there's different types of psychic powers in grydscaen, and the power is specific to the person. And there's two ways to become a psychic. One is to get a contact infection from the nuclear radiation and the fallout that's ubiquitous in the air. There's first manifestation, so a child first starts showing psychic powers. That usually comes around puberty, and they basically would have had a coitus, which is psychic power, that's the term for it, a coitus infection from the radiation in the air. The other way to become psychic is through psi conditioning, which is a process with 3 phases. It's usually done either by the military or from genetic engineering. In the story, there is a government group of military called the Psi Faction, and we see them doing psi conditioning. Originally, it was done in controlling chambers with a genetic engineer and a medical doctor and technicians there. And so, yeah, so I think that the psychic powers from grydscaen literally came out of having ADHD and autism, and having to understand the environment because sometimes I miss social cues. And it was important for me to understand when I was in high school and to experience that and what it felt like. Also, because there were issues with oversensitivity as someone on the autism spectrum, things like fluorescent lights hurting and stuff like that. One of the things that happens to the psychics if they overload or basically, their brain is about to shut down because the psychic power in their nerves are overloaded. It's called psycrit, and so that's something where there's just way too much stimulation coming in. There's too many voices. You can hear everybody's thoughts. Like if you're standing on the street, I mean, you're being bombarded by stimuli and people's thoughts and, what they're saying to each other, what are they feeling, their emotions, and that is called psycrit. Now, that can actually hurt the psychic. It can harm them. It can actually kill them. Your brain is basically going to explode, or you could destroy the area. So in this individual picture, we're looking at Fade Callan. He's the leader of the Pack Rat Hackers. All Pack Rats are psychic. If he goes psycrit, he can literally, and in the first book, he literally destroys a 2-kilometer radius when he goes psycrit. I mean, his power just explodes. And so that happens. So I think if I look back, I mean, grydscaen originally showed up, some of the first characters in the 7th grade. It actually got the name grydscaen in the 9th grade. The first image of Fade and Rom and Lino, the other main character, showed up in the 9th grade. I was in, I think it was a creative writing class at the time, drawing a picture of Rom. I actually still have that with his trench coat, signature tan trench coat, and his mohawk. And he was a hacker at that time. And so I think that's where the characters come from. And so the psychic powers definitely is a key thing to the story. The different types, like distillers, geothermal side, like Rom has, that's very important. And I think it literally comes out of me as a teenager coming to understand and being diagnosed with ADHD and autism as a child. And so, yeah, I think that's it. So that's the story behind why there are psychics in grydscaen. And I guess the other reason was because I've always been very afraid of nuclear war, and by writing about it, it makes it a little less scary. But yeah, radiation sickness, not good. So thanks for letting me share with you. The Aegis is the glow around people's hands when they're about to go psych-crit. We'll talk about that a little bit more in the other video. And yeah, I just wanted to share with you the story behind grydscaen Psychokinesis. Thank you.